originally from San Luis Potosí in Mexico. It's a small town. I was raised here in Texas, in Mesquite, Texas, to be accurate, and I have been living here for 19 years. So I do consider myself from here, but I am originally from Mexico.
I'm originally from Mexico as well. It's in Chihuahua, so it's like we're neighbors, like Texas and Chihuahua is like neighbors. I came here about 10, almost 11 years ago. I was 10, so it was like all kind of weird because, you know, I was like starting to have friends and, you know, kind of like grew up over there, and then they just kind of took me and like put me here, and it was weird. But yeah, I definitely consider myself more of a Texan than Mexican, I guess. But, you know, from my hometown, like I definitely can relate to like living in Texas and life here than over there, which is weird. I actually want to be a middle school teacher, and like I've been trying to work on that, and I don't know what's gonna happen, if I'm gonna be able to, even if I was to get my degree. Like I don't know if I'm, like I doubt I'm gonna be able to work if I don't have my DACA anymore. So right now it's just like just trying to get to there and just continue on with my education, just to see what happens.
So Sonia, what was the circumstances of your family bringing you here?
So I am an only child, and I was told that I was brought here for a better life, for a better future, and certainly I have gotten better in life and stuff. I have seen like the news from Mexico and stuff, and it is bad over there, many violences, and the way Mexico works. Mexico's government is low, you could say.
Yeah.
And here there are rules. We have restrictions, you know, which makes us be a better person. And I was brought to start and finish school, and I am the first one to finish high school and to start going to college. So I am very proud of that. Since I am an only child, I do consider my parents, since my mother, she only got to 3rd grade. She had to get out to start making money for her living and her food. And my father, he actually made it to the 6th grade, and he as well dropped out to bring food to the house. And so after that, my father came over here, and he wanted to make a better life for my mother and I. And he worked hard, and then he brought us over here. I had just turned 5 when I got here. And I started school here. So when I started school, it was mainly all white people. I was the only Mexican in the classroom. And it was a really awkward situation for me, since I didn't know the language they were speaking. I felt like I was less because I wasn't like them. But within years, I started, school started integrating more, and the neighborhoods became more integrated as well. And as I grew up here, I started noticing that my parents did make a good choice of bringing me here. And when DACA came out, I didn't get it the year that it came out. I actually got it like 2 years after that. And once I got it, I got convinced that maybe I could have a better future with it.
Whenever we came over here, we went to Arizona first in Phoenix. We lived there for a year, and I was in 6th grade, so like I didn't know any English, like zero, like none. And whenever they put me in school, they told my parents that like there was gonna be someone, like an interpreter, with me, and they were gonna help me, and I was gonna be in like an ESL class, like to teach me, and that didn't happen. So they threw me in like just regular classes. Like there was no ESL program at all at the school where I was at. So like whenever I was in elementary school, like I loved school, like I loved learning, like I enjoyed school. So that first few months that I went to school, it was awful. Like I hated it. Like I had no idea what they were saying. Like I couldn't understand it. Like I cried every day. Like I hated going to school, hated it. So I made my dad buy me a dictionary from Spanish to English. And I remember that I would cry, and I would sit there every day after school, like reading every single word and memorizing it and trying to pronounce it, like for 6 months, like trying to learn English because it bothered me so much that I had no idea what they were saying. So I sat there literally every day, and I didn't go out to, like I didn't socialize, like I didn't make friends because I was so eager to learn English that I essentially like learned it in 6 months. Like I literally sat there reading a dictionary from Spanish to English, and I would carry that little book with me everywhere. Like I would go to school and I would carry it, and they would be like talking to me, and I was like, hold on, I have no idea what you're saying, hold on. And I would just literally word for word, like I would try to learn it. And that's the way I learned how to speak English, because nobody was teaching me. So it was a 6-month period of me crying and hating school.
So let me clarify, you said you liked school in Mexico?
Yes, I loved school in Mexico.
Okay, but when you got here, you hated it?
It was awful.
At least for 6 months, right?
Yes, it was awful because like I had no idea what any of my teachers were saying. I didn't know, like when people, you know, like you as a kid, if someone's like laughing and kind of looking at you, you think, hey, they're laughing at me. So it was like a shot of my confidence. Like I was a very confident kid. Like I knew what I was doing in school. Like I was in advanced classes, even in elementary school, and that like put me back. I was like, heck man. So that was bad. I have 2 brothers. They're younger than me, and the little one was brought here when he was 3. So all the life he knows is here, and it was kind of hard to explain to him. Now, you know, he's like wanting to go out with his friends and be kind of stupid and kind of get into trouble, you know, like we had to sit him down, like with my parents, and explain to him, hey, like there's a lot of things that you can't do, like even the littlest thing, like if you were to get in trouble for any reason, like I don't know if in McKinney there's still a curfew. I knew when I was in middle school and high school there was a curfew that kids younger than 16 wouldn't be able to be out, like in the street, like at the movies, anywhere past 9 o'clock, 9 or 10. And if you were to get caught, you know, like that would go into your record. Like you as an immigrant, like me as an immigrant, like if I was to get caught, then I wouldn't have been able to get my DACA. So I had it was heartbreaking for me to explain to my little brother, hey, you have to be like extra careful, like so, like take so many precautions to not get in trouble or anything, because they might take you as a reason that we're bad people, even though we're not. You know, like I don't drink and drive. Like obviously I don't do any drugs, like nothing, like literally nothing. I try to like stay away from that as much as I can, and it just sucks because everybody thinks, like most people think, hey, you're an immigrant, you do this, and they immediately like, oh, well, you must be doing this, you must be doing that, or you know, it's just like a generalized thing, and you have to be so much more careful. Like I had to think of all the things that I can't say in front of people. Like I can't really say anything about politics like on my Facebook or any social media because they might take that and put it against me. Whenever DACA came around, I was like, it was kind of like could finally breathe, you know, like I could finally like work, because I saw my parents, like they were struggling to pay for everything that we had. Like I tried to get involved in school. Like I wanted to be in band and cross country and all these other clubs, and that cost money. So I wouldn't, like, whenever I got to high school, I took the decision that I could not be as involved in school because it was going to cost my parents more money. And I was not going to put that stress on them. So I took myself away from that. So you're like, you as a kid, like as a 16, 17-year-old, you're cutting yourself from so many opportunities because you don't want your parents to go through that because you don't have the ability to get a job. As soon as DACA came around and I was able to get it, I also didn't get it the first year. I got it the second year that was around. It was literally like I could take a breather. Like I started to work. I started helping my parents. Like ever since I got it, like I've been helping my parents, like paying for rent, paying for bills, like everything that I can. And I'm thankful that I had that because now I'm able to pay for my brother's social activities. Like my younger brother, I paid for all of his band, like all of his, like they went to Washington D.C. Like I paid for all of that because I didn't want my parents to stress over that. And so the same thing with my little brother. Like I pay for all of the things that he wants to do because I don't want to take away that opportunity for him because I didn't have that. And DACA gave that to me. Like I'm able to work, like I'm able to make money and help my parents and help my little brothers. So whenever I heard, there was like those speculations, like, oh, it might happen, like they might take it away, they might not. And it was like it was back and forth. Like you would see in the news, good news, and then bad news. And then, oh no, they're not gonna take it away. Oh no, they're actually gonna give you a path to citizenship. Oh, just kidding, they're gonna take it away from you. And it was just like a back and forth thing. And whenever it was a definite no, like, hey, we're repealing that law, it was like, I've been working for so long, like trying to make a better life, and now all of that is going to be taken away from me for no reason. Like, I don't have any criminal charges, I don't do anything bad. Like, I literally just want to work and get a better life. Like, that's it. And now I'm not going to be able to.
Yes, when DACA came around, like I said, I didn't get it the first year. I was at a younger age, so I really wasn't thinking about it. But the year after that, I spoke to an immigrant lawyer who pushed me into getting it and told me that maybe we could work into citizenship and get all these benefits, So I decided to go and apply for it, and I got accepted, and right away I got approved. And I remember I was super excited because I was gonna be able to drive legally. And it was just amazing to feel that you could drive with a driver's license without the cops like stopping you and you worrying about it. And if you're not doing nothing wrong, you're good. But it was a good change. I felt the same as everybody else who has papers, who has their documents. I did feel great that I could help my parents out. I was speaking to Professor Bashima, and I was telling her how we don't owe a house. We have been renting a 2-story house since 1999. And we have been living there since we've gotten here. And we can't get a house because we don't have papers, because we don't have a Social Security. And since I'm an only child, my parents have always been working, and I had just been focusing on school. And when you're trying to get a house, they obviously look at your credit. You need credit in order to, to buy and make payments and stuff. And in order to have credit, you need your Social Security. We don't have that. We can't work into it because we don't have this, because of this, So it just follows up. And it really hurts because all that money that we have been paying in rent is basically going to trash. We're just living there, and we can't afford something to actually call home. And even though if we did have a home. Like, would we be kicked out back to Mexico, and just all that money that we had been wasting, just it stays there, you know? And since ever DACA came out, I had been working on my credit, and since then my credit has been going up and it's doing good. And with that, I am hoping to one day buy my parents a home, and that would just make me feel better as their daughter, you know, because they have helped me, so why not help them? And I mean, here it's basically you live on a routine. You get up, you eat, you go back to work, and you come home and you go to sleep. And we don't have as much as privileges as we all need to have. And as she was mentioning, we back off from certain things that allow you to socialize more. And I could say we're reserved because we're pushed back from those things that we want to join. So when President Trump came in, that was the extreme worry. It was just like all his comments that he had been saying, you know, all those things that just make you feel down, make you feel that you're less of a person. He's rich, he has it all, too much. So it makes him feel in power. We have nothing. We literally just want food, our home to live in, and just be happy and work within days. And he hasn't suffered, I believe. He doesn't have problems. He has everything he needs. And I think he lets his power get into his mind and doesn't actually see what the poor, or he doesn't see what we have to actually suffer through in order to get a plate of food in our house.
You know, and it's not even only that, like with all the comments that he says, like whenever he was sworn into presidency, I sat down with my parents, since I'm the oldest one. Like, I came back from work, they sat me down and they're like, hey, if one day you were to come home and we're not here, this is what you need to do. And like, I basically have a plan. Like, I don't know, like, I hope not that I don't walk in one day to my house and my parents are not there. And that's something that I don't know if it's gonna happen. Like, it might happen. I might walk in one day and my parents might not be there. I don't know that. Like, I don't have that security. I can't legally be deported because I have DACA, and my younger brother can't be deported because he has DACA, but the little one and my parents, like, they're not. Like, my parents could be driving to Walmart and be stopped because the tail light of the car is not working, and literally from there they could get deported. So like, I don't know, like, that's something that, like, you probably, like, never thought about that. Like, you know, people that have papers, like, would never think, like, oh my God, like, what if I come home one day and my parents are not there? Like, that's something that it was very, very hard for me to, like, sit down with my parents and had to figure out a plan of what to do, what steps to take, how to take care of my brothers if that was to happen. Like, it's just, you don't think about it every day. But every time I scroll down through Facebook and I see something about Trump, like, it's just like that thought, it's immediately in my head. And I'm always, like, in communication with my mom. Like, I always call her, like, hey, are you guys home? Like, hey, are you guys coming home? Like, I know what time they get off work, and if they're not there by that time, I'm calling them. Like, I'm blowing up my parents' phones, like, where are you guys? What's going on? Why are you guys not here? And vice versa. Like, they're always like, where are you? Are you good? Like, what's going on? Like, are you coming home? Like, you know, and that's a sad reality. Like, whenever I talk to my friends that are, you know, that are born and raised here, that have papers, and I tell them that, they, like, probably never thought about that, but it's a thought that I have to live with. Like, that's something that's scary, to, like, come back home and not see your parents.
questions from the audience?
I have a question. So how did being just undocumented and undocumented was your college experience? Like applying, getting into thinking about college?
It doesn't, that didn't really affect me personally, since like I had my driver's license, and they don't really ask you for residency or anything like that. Like they just ask you for a valid ID and like you proof that you've been here, you know, in the county or whatever. So they don't really, I try to keep it on the down low as much as I can. Like I don't like to go around like, hey, you know, I try to keep it as low key as I can.
You guys said that you guys felt inferior through high school because of the language barrier or because you guys were the minority. But besides those two things, were there any other factors that made you feel inferior in a white prominent society?
I did. In fact, like I mentioned, I was the only Mexican girl in class. The color of my skin was something that it got to me because I was dark brown, and like I said, it made me feel less because everybody was white and everybody was different color, and I felt that I was just less, that I wasn't supposed to be there. And as I grew, like I said, school started integrating, and I saw more cultures, and that just helped me become a better person in my personality, and it helped me seeing all these cultures. It made my self-esteem become way better. But besides language and my skin color, I think everything else was okay. Like I had people supporting me. I was taken into ESL classes, and up to the 3rd grade, that's when I struggled with language. But after that, that's when I basically learned I could defend myself if someone told me something. Mm-hmm. But but skin color was something that was really bugging me back in elementary school.
Yeah, that was a double-edged sword for me, because at first, you know, like I didn't know any English, and then I learned it, and I was hanging out with a lot of white kids, you know, and then I started talking to more Hispanics. Like I started talking to more groups, because I was actually, whenever we came to Texas, I was put in an ESL class, and back in Arizona, like it was mostly white people, and I would get made fun of from both sides, like from English speaking people, like whites and blacks and all that. Like they're like, oh, you have an accent, because like my accent was really thick, like it was really thick, and I would push myself to not have that accent. And then when I was hanging out with my Hispanic friends, we're like, why do you talk so white? Why? Like, why do you talk so white? Why don't you talk Mexican? So it was just like, what do you want from me? Like, I can't speak with my accent, but I can't speak white. So it was, you know, white. And it was just like trying to find that middle ground and just trying to come to terms with myself that I was going to talk however I wanted, that I was going to have my accent or I was not going to have my accent. And I had to learn that, like I had to overcome that, because if I spoke correctly, like a white person, I felt like I was not being true to my heritage. Like I was being fake with my Hispanic friends. But if I did not lose that accent and I didn't learn more, then I was like, then what am I doing? Like I came here to be better. Like my parents brought me here to have a better life. So what's the deal? So it was like I was stuck. It was like where to go? Like you don't know where to go. So it was that like you can't speak with an accent or you talk white. It was hard.
Yes, guys, I know that you are trying like to be American, or by like your journey in this country and the suffering, it might impose on you to assimilate in this culture in order to survive, or in this country in order to survive. But in any way, do you feel that you're still proud of your Hispanic or Mexican identity? Both of you, I assume that you're still practicing and using the language. What about your feeling toward your Mexican identity?
Oh no, believe me, like after high school, like struggling with that, I graduated and I was like, you know what? Why am I lying to myself? Like I can literally go from country to pop to High School Musical to like very, very Mexican music in like 3 minutes. Like I'm literally like driving down the street or going to work and I can play like corridos like in my car, like blasting it off and know every single song, like every single lyric, and then literally go on Spotify and listen to Justin Bieber. Like I'm very proud of that. Like I don't care anymore. Like I'm over that. Like I'm very proud of being Mexican and
American.
yeah, and American as well, Texan. Yeah.
When I would try and fit in, and by that I mean as the years went by and at school we would celebrate Christmas, we would celebrate Thanksgiving, Halloween. I really didn't know anything about that. Like we don't really celebrate that, you know. We have other things that we celebrate which are distinct and which are interesting at the same time. And at the same time, I was confused because I didn't know if I should celebrate our culture or their culture. Would they get mad if I would celebrate my culture? And at the same time, as you grow older, you kind of don't mind it because you know how to control yourself. You know what you're doing, and if you're not doing nothing bad, I mean, there's nothing bad with accepting your culture. You're Mexican, you know, accept it. And fitting in, like, it's really nice to actually celebrate my Mexican culture and the American culture. I get to celebrate a lot of things.
Yeah, you get
yeah.
you get double the food.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome.
Break
like,
diets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not gonna lie, I am too scared. You have, like, how do I say it? You would actually go over there. I would be scared to travel to DC. And so many people are scared to travel. Like, I didn't even know I could travel, you know, like, it's something that you just, it's taken away from you, you know, your freedom. And, but protesting can improve. And I believe that writing also to the government and sharing your experiences and putting your voice out there. If you put your story, your voice, you will be heard, and many people will be considering us instead of seeing us as bad people doing crimes, or as Trump says, rapists, or, you know, just all the bad stuff that he's said, you know. But actually, like, I'm glad I'm taking Professor Irashiki's class, just because I've learned a lot of refugees and everything that they're going through, and Mexico is not that much different.
The difference between me and her is that now that she has DACA, she can actually, like she mentioned, she can get like a permit, like a driving permit, and she can work. I can't do that. So like if I'm driving and I get stopped by a police and they ask for like a driver's license, well, then I'm a little bit like in trouble. Mm-hmm. So, and for like I can work because I don't have a permit. And when I go to school, like in a university, I have to apply as an international student. I can't apply as like a citizen or a resident. I have realized though, like that I can try for international or out of state is more expensive than like in-state tuition. But since I have lived here for longer than 3 years, as long as I can prove it, I can probably get in-state tuition. So.
Yeah, going back to that, like that's literally the only difference. Like, I mean, legally and the government, like, that's the only difference that there would be. There's, like, no other difference between us. And, yeah, like, applying to school. I know I used to live in Oklahoma about 3 years ago. And I moved back, and I was trying to go to school, and I took 3 classes, and I paid $1,800 at Collin for just those 3 classes. And then I went to Collin the next semester, and I took 4 classes, and it was like $600 or $800. So it's like crazy the amount that you have to pay just because you're like an international student or out of state. So there's a lot more limitations of being undocumented. Like, first of all, like, you can't legally work. I mean, people still do because they have to pay their bills. They have to, like, you know, we strive to get better, so we have to go to school. So there's that. Also, like, working illegally and, like, risking that, like, every day, like, going to work and, like, getting pulled over for, you know, like, a broken tail light, or, like, maybe you're speeding because you're late to work, and then like one thing goes after another.
So do you think undocumented and DACA students well, maybe let's hold DACA students for a little bit later. Now, do undocumented live in fear generally all the time, or what's the feeling, do you think, of undocumented?
I kind of like gotten used to it in a way. We don't really think about it, but it is like in the back of our minds, like, oh, I do, like, my parents, they worry about me all the time. They want to know where I am. I want to know where they are too. Like, I know they're supposed to be home and they're not. Like, oh, where are you? Like, what are you doing? And they do the same for me. But it's not something, I don't know, it's really sad, but we kind of have learned to live with it. It's, in a sense.
It's like a subconscious thing, like myself and my younger brother, he's 19, we both have DACA, but you know, when it was repealed in September 5th of last year, I actually, like, I had to have a really tough conversation with my parents where we had to, like, sit down, like, both, like, my mom, my dad, and myself, and we basically had to, like, figure out a plan, like, if they weren't to come home one day, like, what would I have to do? Like, what would be the steps that I would have to take to find out if I was, like, even able to, like, get them out of, like, jail, or if they were, like, in the, if they were gonna get deported, or, like, what was I gonna do, like, who I needed to contact, like, what, like, how I could, like, figure out to, like, get money and, like, pay the bills and take care of my brothers as well. So, you know, like, before we had talked about that, but it was not, like, as real as it was last year, where, like, I actually had to sit down with them and, like, figure out. And, like, after that, like, every day now, I don't go out as much because I'm, like, worried about my parents, and I'm, like, always freaking out and, like, texting them and, like, figuring out where they're at. Also with my brother, it's just that, like, I guess it is, like, a fear for me, like, to know where they are and if they're safe, or if they're good, because I mean we haven't done anything. Like, my parents are not bad people. Like, they are not, like, going out and, like, doing robberies and, like, selling drugs and whatever, you know. Like, they try to work and just stay out of trouble.
So does this hinder your future plans, either of you? Because, you know, a lot of future plans hinge on certain steps to take now, being here. Does it hinder future aspirations?
Well, yeah, I mean, since I started working with DACA, I was 17, 18, and I started saving up money to buy a house for my parents and put it under my name. And actually last year, like, right after my birthday, I was gonna make a down payment on a house and, you know, start all that. And that completely changed because I don't know if we're gonna be here. Like, I don't know if by March, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to apply for DACA again. Like, I don't know if by the end of the year I'm gonna be able to work where I work, where I make really good money. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be there, so I couldn't make the contract with get a mortgage if I didn't know if I was gonna be here or not, like, by next year.
So, Ms. Fernanda, does it hinder your aspiration? Because, I mean, at some point, you cannot go further, especially when it comes to employment.
Yeah, so for me, I love school, and my aspiration is to be a teacher. So sometimes I really get like really sad to think about it. It's like, what's the point of me going to school and wanting to get this education, and if in the end I'm not gonna be able to do what I want? It's I want to be a teacher, but it's not like I can do it when I'm not gonna be allowed to teach. So it's really sad. Sometimes it's just like, I just want to help other kids. I want to help the students that are growing up, and why can you let me do that? I don't want to do something bad. In fact, I want to make things better, and it's kind of like, why are you being unreasonable in that sense?
Well, now, as a sociology student, can you understand the other side? Why do you think they don't want you here?
Because we're stealing their jobs.
Apparently so. I don't know. I really don't know. I just can't understand their I don't know if it's hatred or disgust or what is it that wants them, like, that they want to, like, take us out so badly. Like, I don't understand it.
I mean, I've read a lot about it, and I've like talked to a lot of people. Like, I know a lot of people that have that voted for Trump and are like, yeah, like stricter immigration, and are like, all for it. And like, I've come to understand that instead of like getting mad and fighting them with anger and being aggressive about it, like, I've tried to like sit down and talk to them and figure out like their point of view. And what the conclusion that I've come to, it's just that they feel entitled to this land. Like, they always bring up, well, in the 1700s, my ancestors came and they were oppressed back in their countries, and we have fought for this land. And like, that's always there. They say like, we have fought for this land. We have worked so hard to make the U.S. what it is. And they, like, this was some of their words, like, and you want to come here and just be given everything. Just be handed everything.
I actually had a classmate. I went to Eastfield for like a few semesters, and I had a classmate that was very outspoken about his support for like anti-immigration. And so one of his arguments, and I'm not sure if he was him just trying to sound reasonable or something, he said that he didn't believe in immigrants, or like because why couldn't we like go through the process of becoming a resident and a citizen? Like, why couldn't we do that instead of just coming here and doing whatever we wanted? It's just like, he didn't seem to understand that we didn't come here because we wanted to so badly. Like, it wasn't an easy choice. It wasn't easy to come here in the first place, and it's really hard to become a citizen and a resident to begin with. So it's not something that we just can decide and do and, oh, it's done, I'm here now legally.
And I mean, it's like the process of like applying, first of all, like applying for it, and the application cost, like, it can cost from like $500 to $2,500. And that's just the application, just to see if they will even accept you. And then after that, like, you have to pay.
How much have you paid so far in everything?
For my
immigration?
DACA, For
Well, everything
the-
immigration related.
For this past like 5 years, about like 6,500.
Okay. Is there any support group or organization or some kind of representative for DACA students to get help?
There's not like an official one, but they have started to like do like I want to say like not consult groups, but like just in your own community. Like I mean, all of my friends, well, not all of them, like probably like 90% of them are DACA recipients as well. So we kind of just help each other and like just try to keep each other positive and, you know, just like try to stay out of trouble. But I don't know if like a legal like representative or someone that's like out there like actually fighting for us. I mean, I know there's like bigger politicians that are kind of in and out, but not like fully on
Not
with
some
it.
systematic organization.
Yeah, it's kind of just like as a moment thing, like, oh, maybe this will look good in my campaign like later on, so that's why
So
they're doing it.
if it comes, so various DACA students have different deadlines, right?
Yeah.
Cutoff dates that they will. So what happens when that deadline comes?
So right now, so as I said, September of last year, that's whenever Trump announced that by March 5th, if like there is not an agreement in Congress and, you know, the House of Representatives, that DACA will not go on. So the government has until March 5th to decide if anything, like if they will just like take away all of DACA, or if it will continue, or if they will make another kind of law that will permit us from like to work, or, you know, eventually like become a resident and eventually like become a citizen. But DACA, like whenever you apply for DACA, it gives you 2 year, like a 2-year permit. So mine will expire in August of this year, and you cannot apply for DACA within, like, you have 4 months to send in another application to renew your DACA. So a lot of people that their DACA was like gonna expire in April, they were able to send in another application in December or January to renew their DACA, and they're in the process of like getting another one. But for all of us that like our work permits will expire after April, then we don't have the choice. Like we just have to we just have to wait until it runs out, or wait if the government will do something about
I
it.
think that most of the DACA students will leave or become then undocumented.
I think we'll be like, we're not gonna leave. Like I've said, I've been here for 12 years. I've known people that have been here like their entire lives. Like I'm 22. I've known people that like were brought here whenever they're like 3 months old. Like that, this is all they know.
What do you think they would do if they were forced to go away? To find some closest relatives maybe in
Well, yeah, I mean, like if I was to like get deported after my DACA expired, like I know either way, like it doesn't matter where I am, like I'm gonna keep working and I'm gonna keep going to school. Like that's not gonna stop me. It doesn't matter where I'm at, that I will continue on with my life. Like yeah, it will be a lot tougher. Like I'm from Mexico, and things over there are not pretty. Like my hometown, like every time I talk to my cousins or like my relatives from over there, it's just, if I was to go over there, like I can't go out after sundown because of like all the cartels and like the struggle between like the government, which is not really helping, and like the violence and all that. So I mean, I know it's gonna be a lot tougher. It's gonna change my lifestyle like 180 degrees, but it's not gonna stop me from working, going to school.
questions?
how do you think like the policies that Trump is trying to get an agreement in with DACA like affect you? Like I know he wants to take out chain migration and he wants to do a merit-based immigration system. Like, do you agree with those, or like what is the problem that you think is?
I mean, I completely understand where he's coming from, like chain immigration. Like, obviously, like there has been cases before, like in past generations, where, say, like if I was back in the 80s, like I would get, you know, my papers, like I would become a citizen, and like if my parents were in Mexico, like I would be able to request for them to become like a resident, and then they would come, and then it would be my brothers, and you know, like eventually it would just be a chain immigration. So I understand where that's coming from, just because again, it's just that thing of like us stealing their jobs, and it would be like a lot more competition for like going to school and jobs in general. So I understand where he's coming from, but I don't fully agree with it. I feel like, yeah, they need to figure out like a strict way, an actual way to like go, like have background checks on everybody that's going through that, and just be like have an actual system.
More questions?
Until what age can you get DACA?
So you had to be brought before you were 16. And you had to be in the United States for at least 4 years prior to that. So if you, like, say, like whenever Obama had passed that, and like a kid was like 15 years old, but he had only been here for a year, he wasn't eligible for DACA. So there's like certain requirements that you had to have. Like we have to go through background checks, and we have to get our fingerprints checked. Like I know every 2 years, like every time I would renew my work permit, I would have to go and get my fingerprints, and they would like get sent to like the FBI. Like my paper, like whenever I would get my results back, it would be like from the FBI. Like it was so weird. I would be like, I was kind of scared about
that's something. Yeah, so the government knows everything about you.
Yes.
And where to find you and all that, which also can prevent some potential DACA recipients from doing that, right? Because it's quite an intrusion.
Yeah, so that's an actual thing, like another thing. If, you know, like they decide to not go with DACA later on, like they have all of my information, like they know where I live, like my parents' names, my brother, like all of my information, like all of my personal information. So if they really wanted to, like they could just round up like all of the 900,000 like recipients and like all of their information, and they could literally just go to our door and have a warrant for our arrest and like get deported.
I know a lot of people who are in the same situation as me, and they have mentioned to me, like, I don't know who has it worse, us, who don't even have any kind of like what they have, or them, because they have all of their information. We have noticed that too. It's like, we also fear for them because they know where they live, they have their information. It's like, that's very scary.
Like, I guess it'd be easier to get us than to get them, because we're already like registered in the. We're already
even
registered
the
in
Muslims
the
have not had the registry yet.
Either way, we're both in at disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Japanese Americans were on the registry too during World War II. Okay, so do you see many undocumented people working the underground economy, meaning kind of under the table economy?
That's all the people I know.
Well, yes and no, but like a lot of them still they still do their taxes, so it's not like, it's kind of underground, but not really, because we're still paying our taxes.
Yeah, so undocumented people can get a TIN, kind of like a social security number, to pay their taxes,
Yes.
and many do pay their taxes.
So that's basically what like a corporate number gets, like to pay their taxes. That's what undocumented people get. And like one of the misconceptions that a lot of like people think that a lot of immigrants, illegal immigrants, get like Social Security and like benefits, and like we're not eligible for that. Like even me with DACA, I'm not eligible for any of that. Like food stamps, like no.
Yeah, no welfare.
No, none of that.
Okay, last question.
Can marriage change your status if you get married to a citizen?
Yes, you can, but I have promised myself, like I vowed that I would never get married to someone just for that.
I'm not sure about this moment, but I do have like I mentioned this before to a professor. I know I have a friend, and her mom is urging her and me. She's always telling us, you have to get married. Like it doesn't matter if it's not for love. You can get divorced later, just so they can fix you up, and then you can marry for love later. And that is something that she reminds her daughter all the time, and she likes to tell me too. It's like, no, you have to do it so you can be safe. And like her, it's just like it's not something that I have ever considered really. Like I don't like that idea.
Yeah, that's one thing that like really honestly like upsets me a lot, because like my boyfriend is he's a citizen, and like straight up like I told him, I was like, I'm not dating you for this, like at all. Like I've known him since we were kids, since we were like in middle school, and like I've told him, I'm like, I am not dating you for this. Like I do not plan on getting married right now just for that. Like I'm not doing that. And it's kind of hard like dating in that sense, because like you see me, like it's like, oh, illegal, whatever, and you start like talking to someone, and then that's like one of the things that the guy will think, like, oh, like she's probably just with me because she wants papers. And like that's one thing that I always put out on the table, like I am not with you for this reason. But
we can mix it with the Islamic arrangement here.
Yeah. And it's kind of annoying because like I understand like your parents like do worry about us, like our parents worry about us, and like they want us to be in a safe situation, but like my parents, they kind of joke about that, but I have told them like not to joke about it too much, because that's not something that I would ever do.
And it's not a guaranteed thing. You have to apply and get interviewed and all
yeah,
that.
so actually my best friend got married 2 years ago. And her husband is a citizen, and she's now a resident. But, you know, like I was with her through all the process of like her applying to like become a resident and all that. And whenever they had to go get an interview, they like asked like very, very personal questions, like very personal questions that like you wouldn't tell anybody about your partner. Like they would, like, she told me that they separated him, and they asked him what type of underwear she was wearing that day, and the same thing for her. And it's just like things that like, do you even look at him? Like, oh, let me check you out before we go. Like,
so it's to make sure whether they're actually in love or not.
Yes, to make sure that like their relationship is real. And like they asked her for a Facebook post like about their relationship from like years ago. Like she had to like print out her like Facebook post and like her relationship status of that time, like, which is just crazy. It's like really.
Okay, that's all we have for now. Thank you. Let me get the speaker.